Hi, I'm Nick Paris from Allison Videoland, and I'm really delighted just to give you a bit of a heads up for Talking Heads Stop Making Sense at the Brewery on Tuesday night at 8:30, and I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully, babysitting permitting, I'll be down there. And let me tell you, my first brush with Stop Making Sense was probably about a year after it was made in 1984. So in '85 I was at the old Westport Picture Theatre, wanting a good experience, so I hankered on down to the Caramere Hall, a few k's down the road, and unfortunately they had a storm that night and the power was cut, and we thought, bugger this, you know, there's a whole lot of hippies wanting to see this film. So we thought, what are we going to do? So we managed to get a cocky somewhere, and we got a generator and we got the flaming film going. We were running wires everywhere to the projection room, and let me tell you, it was a seminal experience. And some of those hippies are still there living in Caramere today, and do remember that night when we showed Stop Making Sense at the Caramere Hall. By the way, you can't be on the dole and live in Caramere, I've been told. Thank you, National. But anyway, look, you know, going back, what, how many years? 25 years old now, something like that. Stop Making Sense. It wouldn't be a seminal film in the sort of concertmentary sort of series, but when you consider, you know, the likes of Song Remains the Same and the Rolling Stones' Give Me Shelter, it's still in there, and it's a little maverick piece really, because David Byrne is hardly a sort of, you know, your guy next door, and so he basically fashioned and wrote the show at the beginning of his concert with a bare stage at the Pantages Theatre in Los Angeles. And gradually, as the show warmed up, pieces came in, and then the whole band came out. But he just came on stage with a beatbox, and he just launched himself, and I'm going to say launched, he just ripped into Psycho Killer, and boy, and let me tell you, that's in a chronological order as well, so it was one of the first films, first songs that the band came out with. And then as time progressed, he gets more into the wherewithal of their career as it spanned over the decades, but culminating in a lot of vitality. And you've got balloons, you've got him running around at the interlude like he's some, you know, athlete at the Olympics. You know, he's never still. David Byrne is never still. He uses every part of his body. I noticed on camera, and Jonathan Demme, who lends Silence of the Lambs, captures that perfectly. And I think what I like about Stop Making Sense and how it looks on stage, and there's a little bit of art design with backdrops and so forth, is that they don't let it overshadow the music. Whereas, you know, if you go to your sort of concert today, it's more than likely going to be, you know, it's just oversaturated. Well, here, as the music speaks for itself, and anything else is not on the way. You might just have a bloody a light standard, or you know, very bare bones sort of approach. So Jonathan Demme actually lets the music speak for himself. He has one or two cameras on stage. Hello, the Samaritans. I'll let John get that. Anyway, sorry about that. And yeah, so on the DVD version, which you probably won't see at the Brewery on Tuesday night, there is a little hilarious interview with Howe in 2004 where he's talking about the restoration on Blu-ray, and he's talking about you know, how it got to be and how he chose his director, and by then Jonathan Demme didn't really have a track record back in '99. Apart from a little piece called Caged Heat, and David Byrne liked that film so much because he saw in him a maverick sort of style filmmaker as well. So yeah, look, you know, Burning Down the House, Take Me to the River, up to the gospel influences of that song, and he doesn't really gets into the saccharine sort of narrative of usual pop stars, or actually new wave actually is what I call Talking Heads. He's more about just picking drugs, paraphernalia, houses, you name it, in his own interminable way. So yeah, I mean, it ain't no Woodstock, but Talking Heads was a phenomenon, and they didn't really crack on after the tour. in any way, shape or form. He came out with a film called True Stories some years later, which looked at a sort of a redneck town somewhere in America, and how news stories were, he was using news stories to tell the story. It was a bit of a flop, and but from time to time you do see, and still hear today, David Byrne writing for soundtracks for films and so forth. So yeah, in the 80s it was a time and a place and a culture, and I think he caught that very well, and he may have actually sort of pointed the joke on you, the audience, even as early as '84 in terms of fashion and what was going on at the time, particularly when you look at his fashion costumes on stage, and together with a Japanese designer, he came up with this suit, this classic trademark white suit, which is kind of like SpongeBob meets Dean Martin or something like that. And I don't know, he was throwing a curveball at the audience. But he does, you know, Psycho Killer was perfect because he does look like bloody, what's his name, Tony Perkins, or I can't think of his name now, in Psycho himself. And but look, hey, enough rabble from me. Enjoy it. 4 out of 5. Ta-da.